All right. Anyway, the phrase you hear me the phrase you hear me say and talk about is think big and get serious. I have my three biggest issues, and I think they should be the biggest issues for the world if we're going to knock them down to three. Everything you have is going to fall into one of those three. First one, population growth. Second, economic decline. And after that, climate change. All right? Very simple, very broad, but we'll go from there. All right, let's break it down. The first one, population growth. We only had 1.6 billion people in the entire world 120 years ago. That just about doubled 40 years later. In 1940, we had 2.3 billion people. Then in 2020, we have 7.8 billion people and growing. All right, so we've just about doubled population every 40 years. All right, so we're on the trajectory right now of having 9.7 billion people by 2050. All right, so many people. That's resource demands. Think about that. That's food, water, energy for so many people. And we have difficulty producing things, all right? And when we have an extra 2 billion people on the earth on 30 years, that's serious stuff, all right? Just globally. All right, so that's population growth, and we can keep on going there. I'm gonna talk about it more. Then we have economic decline, all right? All right, our country, we don't produce anything. We have a financial system that serves finance. I'm not trying to get all communist, but I'm saying we have a problem. We have a debt-based economy. We have $32 trillion in debt as a government. Our consumer debt is $14 trillion. That consumer debt's cars, houses, credit cards. All right, these are all numbers from the New York Federal Reserve. You can look them up. All right, and the student loans, this is almost sickening, all right? In student loans, we had, in 2005, we had $363 billion of student debt. 3 years later, that number almost doubled to $611 billion. That's enormous growth of a it's finance serving finance. They're not producing any results. Then after that, in 2008, from $611 billion, it rose to $1.5 trillion, almost doubled in less than 10 years. That's debt that's growing on the backs of 18-year-old kids? Are we serious? This is what we're running our economy off of? All right, because we don't produce much in our country. We mostly print money, leverage debt, and consume from China. That's it. That's our economy right there. We produce lots of food. I'll go into that. But then we don't have a manufacturing industry. All right? There are a bunch of reasons for that, but it all leads to economic decline. In a few years, like 30 years, we're going to have hundreds of millions of jobs automated. What are we going to do for this? People are already at the brink of almost nothing. Right? We're realizing that now. People have no savings. We're on economic decline. $1 when I was born, that buying value has been cut in half today. All right? So if you had $10 in savings back when I was born, that savings value is only $50. 50 cents now. It's cut in half. We're going in a rate of hyperinflation. We're just printing money and not doing anything else. All right, so that's what we have for economic decline. And when we have finance serving finance, it takes money from the middle class and widens the gap, making you not rich. You, me, all of us, we're going to be on the shit end of the stick growing poorer over the next 30 years. This is the trajectory of economic decline we're on. All right? What else we got? All right. Then the next one is climate change. This isn't a fucking political issue. The world changes climate. This is what happens. All right? And of course we impact it. Are you serious? You don't think we do? Look at the pollution we have on the ground. Of course we're doing that to the air. And the greenhouse effect. Ever have a greenhouse? This is fucking just basic science, all right? Just accept it. And okay, it occurs naturally. Take that too. We still have to deal with the issues of it, all right? The results. The biggest one is going to be on our food system, all right? Climate change leads to drought, which affects crops. Even if it's a longer wet season, we're going to have crop rot, more water pooling. More water pooling leads to more bugs, which can eat the plants that we grow, causing us to use more pesticides, or freaking we're on the trajectory of diseases being all over the place, all right? Um, sorry to sound crazy. What the hell else we got? But also climate change. It's raising temperatures, all right? And if our temperatures of our oceans raise, we start causing serious problems of killing the algae that produce our oxygen. Breathing is important, all right? So this is a concern. Can we stop hurting the environment so that the environment can sustain the growing population of 9.7 billion of us, right? Guys, we need to think big and get serious because we can't afford problems like climate change, population growth, economic decline, merging into just catastrophe over the next 30 years, all right? We can't just focus on small issues like vaping. All right, we need to think big, get serious. Population growth, economic decline, and climate change. Oh yeah, and that's all going to be sprinkled in with cyber threats, terrorism, war, disease, cancer, Alzheimer, you name Alzheimer's disease, you name it, it's coming down the barrel quick. All right, all of these converging, it's going to be a serious issue. So we need to think big and get serious. And like I said, in Massachusetts, we have the capacity to actually come up with solutions to all these problems, which is why I'm pumped, right? Let's do this. All right. Oh, geez. This goes over a little bit more threats. All right, well, how about this? If it's time, fucking cheers. You'll need this. We do know that this virus is just a small threat compared to what can happen, right? Small. It's just one of thousands of threats that threatens all of humanity, all right? And we're in the trajectory of these things getting a little bit worse. Human life is so fragile, all right? So fragile. But it's only a matter of time until what's next. So what's next? What's foreseeably next is that we're at greatest risk